I have one last example that I'm going to give you, and this involves a little bit of detective work. So say, for example, you found this file either in Blackboard or you'd saved it at some previous occasion, and now you're trying to figure out, well, how do I cite this because it's got information that I want to use. So it says it's a technical report, and it gives us authors and a lot of information, but we really don't know, where it comes from. Let's look at the end of the document. Sometimes there's information. So it was funded by a grant. Okay, we know that. But it's not really given us all the information we need for a citation. So what can we do? Well, one of the things we can do is try to find this particular report somewhere on the web. So how would we do that? Well, we can do a search for it. I've already forgotten now. So it says how the writing context shapes. Okay. So I will type that in Google bar and see where that takes us. So I've typed it into Google and just hit search, and it comes up right away. So clearly this exists out there on the web, so it's not going to be difficult to find the document. In fact, right here it is. It says PDF for Technical Report number 16, How the Writing Context Shapes College Student Strategies. But taking us to the PDF isn't going to help us very much because we already have that information. We have the PDF. What we want to know is how we can cite it. So we'll go to the main page that this must be linked from. So this comes from the National Writing Project. It's on their website. And they provide us with, I believe, some citation information. We'll see if that's all the information that we need, as well as the download information. So now the key is to go back to St. Martin's and figure out how we would cite this. So we know it's on the web, so we look for electronic sources. So we can go work from a website. Work from a website would include either the author's the author's name, or if there's no author, you just start out right with the title of the actual document. That's what goes in the quotation marks, the title of the document. Then the name of the website is italicized. Just like if it was a journal, we italicize the journal title, the name of the magazine or journal that the publication came through. We give them the title for the website. And if we have a name of a publisher or sponsor, then we put that in there. Or if it's the same thing, I mean, sometimes they're very repetitive, so you don't need to, but sometimes you need to. You just kind of have to use your judgment when that comes to it. Then the date of the publication, the medium that was consulted, so this is a web page, so we would put web, and then the date that you accessed it. And it's very important you have the date that you access. Sometimes you don't have date of publication and you just put ND, but you need to put the date of access. And the reason for this is websites change, websites come and go and disappear. So if I'm looking for something that you've cited from the web, I need to know when you accessed it, because sometimes I may go back later and not find it. And if I see, well, that gives me a clue to help track it down. So I can use something like the Wayback Machine to try and find it if that site's gone or that information has disappeared from the web. So that's the format that I use. So I go back to that web page and I'll gather that information and then type that into an entry. So now I have created my works cited entry for our technical report. First, I used the first author that was listed, John R. Hayes, just the way we normally list authors. But this particular report had a different setup. It had two authors, unlike the other things that we've been working on, the other citations. So when you have multiple authors, the first author is listed just like usual, last name first. But after that, you list all the other authors in regular order. So it's Hayes, comma, John R., period, and Jenny Nelson, period. If I had had a third author, then it would be John R., period, comma, and then another author, comma, another author, and so on. Then I have the article title in quotation marks, or the report title in quotation marks. Then I put the website name in italics. So I put National Writing Project because it was on the National Writing Project website, period. Then they ask for the source, sponsor, or publisher of the report. So on the web page that I looked at, they said National Center for the Study of Writing and Literacy Technical Report. So I thought that seemed to apply to me that they were the publisher or sponsor. So I put them down, period, and then August 1988, because that's the date of the publication of the report. Put web, because that's the medium we found it in. Then the date, 12 January 2010, which is the date that I found it, which isn't the date that I found it, but obviously it was still there on that date. So that's when I recorded it. Always a good idea to keep track of those things so you can be more accurate. But anyway, that's how you do that type of citation. Now, if you look at this start of an annotated bibliography that I've created here, it's not really annotated yet, as only one of them actually has an annotation. But if you look at this, what might be wrong with this? I have Lex Runciman, Shannon Carter, and John Hayes, etc. If you remember, when we look back at our instructions, a typical works cited page annotated bibliography should be alphabetized unless instructed otherwise. So we need to move Runciman down so that we have Carter, Hayes, Runciman. So now they're in alphabetical order, which is what you would do on a works cited page most certainly. Now, some annotated bibliographies may ask for a different order. For example, I asked not for alphabetical order on your annotated bibliography, but I was asking for keywords or subcategories to divide your annotated bibliography into. However, within each of those subcategories, your entries should be alphabetized. I'm assuming by the time you reach college, you do know how to alphabetize. So I'm not going to go into that in any more depth. I just want to explain that you always go with alphabetical order unless instructed otherwise. That should be your fallback. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you.